Okay, good evening, everyone. We are continuing Gemara Berachot. We have returned back to the topic of our Mishnah, which has to do with the times of Kiryat Shema, namely the end time of Kiryat Shema. I'll just say, just because Yigal mentioned it, and we have a few people here in the room who were present with us last week, Baruch Hashem, we went to visit the Rishon LeZion, the chief Sephardic rabbi in Eretz Yisrael, Rav Yitzchak Yosef. We were there, and one of the things that he started speaking to us about was the importance of studying halakha. And he quoted a Gemara from Masechet Berachot that the Gemara in Masechet Berachot tells us that the importance of studying halakha. This is on Daf Chet Amud Aleph. I just turned to it. The Gemara tells us that miyom shecharav Beit Hamikdash inon lakadosh baruch hu b'olamo ela arba amot shel halakha bilvad. From the times of the destruction of Beit Hamikdash, Hashem's only location is the 4 amot, the 6-foot radius of halakha. This was Gemara we learned on Chet Amud Aleph, where it says, Ohev Adonai Yesharet Zion Mikol Mishkenot Yaakov. Hashem loves the gates of Zion from all of the tents, of all of the dwellings of Yaakov. Ohev Adonai She'arim HaMitzuyanim HaLacha. Hashem loves places that are marked with halakha. More than all synagogues and all study houses. So he was telling us that the importance of studying halakha. He told us, he said, I heard you guys are studying halakha. I don't know where you're hearing that from. But yeah, so I heard you're studying halakha according to Shulchan Aruch, according to Ravadi, according to Mara and his father. And of course, we spoke about this when we did this daf of Gemara, daf Chet, the importance of studying halakha. If you remember at the time, I put a poll and I asked you, I said, if you can choose to come to a Gemara class or a parasha class or a halakha class, I asked the group, and the one that got the least votes was halakha. And then I remember Rama asking me, what's the answer? I said, no, there's no answer. I'm asking you. And you said it's not as popular, but it's the most important thing. And he went to town about the importance of it. And so have no fear. Igal just wanted to make sure that this shiur is not strictly Gemara, and it will not be strictly Gemara. Don't worry, we'll get halakha. And Igal Nasim asked me a halakha question this morning, and I quoted from Shulchan Aruch. So there you go, Igal. Don't worry, we're going to teach you halakha also. But we're going to go through the flow of the Gemara. Tonight's Gemara is going to be the continuation about the end time of the Kriyat Shema Shel Arvit. Can anyone remind me, what is the end time of the Kriyat Shema in the evening? Okay, so it's a 3-way machloket. Rabbi Eliezer says it is no, until the end of the first watch, until the Sof Ashma Rishonah, until the end of the first third of the night. That's the end time of Shema. Second opinion is Chachamim, and they say until Chatzot. Very good. Everyone got this? Everyone say until Chatzot. Chatzot. Okay, good. Finally, the third opinion of Rabban Gamliel is Ad She'aleh Amud HaShachar, until dawn rises. Okay, and so that's the third opinion. And then our Gemara tells us a story about Rabban Gamliel's boys. They went to a wedding, and then they came home late, and they had missed midnight. And they said, Abba, we missed saying Shema before midnight. What should we do? And so he said, Im lo ala amud hashachar, if it's not dawn yet, even though it's past midnight, chayavim atem likrot, you have to read. So the Gemara asked, well, they didn't know that there was a machloket. Their father is the minority opinion. He's in all of the newspapers that is going against everyone. Everyone is saying until midnight. He's the one that's saying, no, you have an extra 6 hours. And now they come home and they ask their dad. No, they said, of course. They understood that there was a machloket, but they were asking, do the rabbis and everyone fundamentally disagree with you and say that the last time to say Shema is at midnight, and past that there's no value in saying Shema? Or do they fundamentally agree with you that a person can say Shema all night long, all the while people are sleeping, but they just want to build in a buffer so that this way a person doesn't come to sin? If you tell someone you have until 5 a.m. to do something, then they're going to go take a nap. But if you tell, they lie down, you go to sleep, eat something, you drink something, you watch some Netflix, and then at 2 a.m. you'll say Shema. Before you know it, you end up sleeping through the whole night. So do they agree with you in a situation that I'm past midnight to say Shema? And in fact, he says, yes, they agree with me. They are only creating in a buffer, okay? And then Rabban Gamliel takes it a step further. What's the step further that he says? He says, not just this, but no, that was the discussion we had in the Gemara about the twilight zone. Correct. But going back to our original Mishnah, when his sons asked him, hey, it's past midnight, should we say Shema? And he says, as long as it's not dawn, yes, go ahead and say Shema. He continued. And what did he say? Yeah, you said exactly what he said. No, that is the discussion we had last time. Going back to the discussion of Rabban Gamliel.
Rabbi.
Before dawn.
Very good. Cody, what was that? Is that what
I
you
was
want
gonna say every time the Chachamim say
Very good. Very good. So what this is that not just this, but anytime the rabbis say until midnight, really the real time is until dawn. In other words, there is nothing that has a deadline of midnight proper. You could have all of the deadlines are until the end of the night, but they'll just come and they'll build in some buffers. So anytime the rabbis say at chatzot, and he gives us two examples. Hekter chalavim ve'evarim. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you. Am I recording? Yes, I'm going to show you now the first Mishnah. Get out of here. Here we go. Okay, this is the first Mishnah. Okay, 2A. This is the very beginning. The Chachamim say until midnight. This is the time for saying Shema in the evening is until midnight. Rabban Gamliel ad she'aleh amud hashachar. Rabban Gamliel says until dawn. Ma'aseh u'ba'u v'anam yishtatem v'shteh. Once Rabban Gamliel's sons came from a party, Amru lo, they said to him, Lo karinu et Shema. We didn't say Shema. Amar lahem. So he responded, Im lo ala amud hashachar. If it isn't dawn yet, chayavin hatem likrot. You have to read. Now here's the kicker. And this is not the only time they said that. Anytime our sages say until the chatzot, misatan ad she'aleh amud hashachar. The real mitzvah, the deadline is until dawn. Hekter chalavim ve'evarim. There is a requirement every day to make sure that all of the offerings that were brought during the day, if there's any leftover fats and limbs, those fats and limbs have to be burnt by chatzot. But what he's saying is, really it could be burnt until dawn. Just they required until midnight. Anything that there is a requirement for it to be eaten in one day. What that means is there are some korbanot that can be eaten over a 36-hour period. Some korbanot could be eaten over a 24-hour period. Some korbanot can be eaten until until midnight. Anything. So now what he's saying is, anything that the requirement is to eat it until midnight, really, you can read that. You could actually eat them until the end of the night. So the two examples that are given in our Mishnah is burning the fats and limbs, which the requirement is until midnight, but Rabban Gamliel says is really the whole night long. And also, there are certain sacrifices that are eaten that have to be eaten by midnight, but Rabban Gamliel is telling us it could be all night long. Okay? Good. Very important. There was one, we ended off this with last year. There's one example, one mitzvah, that the cutoff is midnight. That's not listed here. Someone said it last time we had class. What mitzvah can you think of that the cutoff time is midnight? Afikoman. Very good. Very good. What is Afikoman? What's the mitzvah of Afikoman? Really, it's the Korban Pesach. Afikoman is the eating of the matzah, of the later matzah on the night of the Pesach Seder, which corresponds to the end time of eating the Korban Pesach. So now what we're going to learn is that the latest time to eat the Korban Pesach is Chatzot. Okay? You're with me? The last, they would have the offering of the Korban Pesach, which was a sheep or a goat in the times of Beit HaMikdash, the latest time to eat it is midnight. But it's not listed in our Mishnah. Okay? With that background, let's start with our Gemara for tonight. Okay, very good. Ilan's asking the very first question of our Gemara. Well, Ilan, your question is, why is Rabban Gamliel clarifying what Chachamim meant to say? Why wouldn't Chachamim themselves or any other rabbi mention what they really mean? Okay, very good. So Ilan's asking a good question. It's actually going to be the behind the first question of our Gemara. So let's go. Let's pick up from Velozu Bilvad Amru. If you're looking in the art scroll, it's in 9A-2. The break on the left. Okay, it's the last line on the left column. Velozu Bilvad Amru. And this is quoting our Mishnah that says, Shema Yisrael is not the only time that our rabbi said until midnight, but really meant until dawn. But other times also. So the Gemara asks, Rabban Gamliel, Mika Amar al Chatzot. Rabban Gamliel, his own opinion, is it until midnight? Diktani velozu bilvad amru, for him to come and say that really you have the whole night? Meaning, Rabban Gamliel comes in and says, this is not the only thing that we say until midnight, but we mean all night long. But hold on a second. You didn't say until midnight. You said all night long. So what do you mean this is not the only thing that we say midnight, but mean all night long? You don't actually say that. So, okay. So you have to put in some words here. This is what Rabban Gamliel was saying to his sons. Even according to the rabbis, the Ka'amriyat Chatzot, who say that the deadline of Shema is midnight, mitzvatat she'lemud hashachar. The rabbis would agree that the mitzvah end time of Shema Yisrael is dawn. V'hai the Ka'amriyat Chatzot, and that which they say is until Chatzot. That which they say is until Chatzot, kedei le'archik adam min ha'avera, that is coming to prevent a person from sinning. So to Ilan's point, the Rabban Gamliel isn't saying, hey, I said until midnight, but really I mean until dawn. He's saying, the rabbis disagree with me, and they say until midnight, but even they would agree that you have until dawn, and this is not the only example. They have other examples of this also. Okay? All right, it's just like reading it in correctly. Hekter chalavim ve'evarim, burning.
Wait, Rabbi, what I mean to say is, why is this coming from Rabban Gamliel?
Why is this coming from Rabban Gamliel? Okay, good question. The answer is because his sons asked him a question, and the Gemara is recording that dialogue. So, in other words, this is something that the rabbis also say. But the reason our Mishnah is bringing this quoted from Rabban Gamliel is because it's actually recording a story. There was a story of his sons, and it's recording the incident that happened. And this is what he was telling his sons. So this is not him talking to us. This is him talking to his sons, and we're recording that story. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, okay.
so, very good. So this is exactly the question that we said, Mr. Basalian, how you said the Afikoman and the Korban Pesach. V'ilu achilat pesachim lo ketani. Our Mishnah did not give us the example of eating the Korban Pesach. Question, you have to be clear on this. What is the latest time that we could eat the Korban Pesach? Chatzot, midnight. Is that clear? Okay? I want everyone to be clear. What is the latest time? What is the deadline for eating the Korban Pesach? Chatzot. Our Mishnah says there's examples of things that we say until Chatzot, but we really mean all night long. Like hektar chalavim ve'evarim, burning the fats and the limbs, and things that have to be eaten from the korbanot until the first day. But it doesn't mention Korban Pesach. So does that mean that Korban Pesach is something that has to be ended at Chatzot and cannot extend the whole night? Because why didn't you list that as an example? You get it? So that's what the Gemara wants to say. The Gemara says, why didn't you list Achilat Pesachim as one of your examples? That comes, it's a contradiction because Kiryat Shema Arvit, the Braita tells us that Kiryat Shema in the evening, the Halel B'Leilei Pesach, and the recitation of Halel, which is what we do as part of the Seder, the Korban of the Pesach Seder. At the end, you say Halal. V'achilat Pesach, as well as eating the Pesach, mitzvatan ad she'alei amud hashachar. So you have a Braita that tells us explicitly that Achilat Pesach is until all night long, until dawn. But we know that eating Korban Pesach is until midnight. Now you have a Braita that says it's really until dawn. So why isn't this one of the examples of our Mishnah of something that the halacha is until midnight, but really you could do it all night long? Why isn't this listed as an example? Question, yes.
Why is the Gemara assuming that just because the Mishnah didn't include Korban Pesach as an example, that it's not in the same category? Did it need to include every 20 different mitzvot that all all apply in this situation?
Okay, very good. So Andrew and Mr. Kashimal, you're asking a good question. Your question is, it's an example. Our Mishnah gave two examples. It's not giving you an exhaustive list. It's not giving you every single example there is. Okay, so you could answer it that way. You could say, I know I didn't list it in the Mishnah, but don't read too much into it. I was just giving you some examples that came up to the top of my mind, right? Here's why the Gemara doesn't like that. The reason the Gemara doesn't like that is because the Gemara knows that this question of the Korban Pesach is a major machloket. It's a major machloket between Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah and Rabbi Akiva. So this question of Korban Pesach until midnight or until dawn is a huge discussion. And if you're leaving it out from the list, so you're trying to tell me something. That's what the Mishnah, that's what the Gemara is assuming. The Gemara is saying, I understand that you may not give me an exhaustive list, but when there's a hot topic, something that we know that there's a big discussion between whether it's until midnight or until dawn, then I would expect that if you feel that it's until dawn, you would include it in the list. Because it's a discussion topic that everyone is aware of. Correct. The fact that it wasn't included means that the real, true deadline is midnight, and it's not until dawn. Because this is something that you would include in the list.
If it's a big discussion that you're supposed to bring up, then why don't they just say the Korban Pesach is something that has to be done until Chatzot? It's not one of these mitzvot that extends until dawn. If they're having the discussion.
Oh, you're saying why isn't it listed as
it's such a big topic that they should definitely bring it up in this conversation. Why don't they just say that it stops at Chatzot? Why do we have
because we weren't teaching you the law of Korban Pesach, but what he's doing is he's introducing the rule that the Chatzot deadline isn't real. That's what he's doing. He's coming and saying, the Chatzot deadline isn't real, right? But he's not including that by Korban Pesach. He's saying by Hekter Chalavim Ve'varim it's not real, and Kol HaNechalim Echad it's not real. But what about Korban Pesach? Oh, Korban Pesach is a different story. Korban Pesach, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says it is real. So you're right. You could maybe pull your way out and say it's not an exhaustive list, but given that there's a discussion, the Gemara at this point wants to assume that no, there's a reason. What is it?
Going off on a tangent? Like, is this part of the main flow of the Gemara, or is this like one of those things that just goes?
This is a tangent. It is a tangent because you're giving me a list, and by omission, we're not going to talk about it. Okay, let's go. Everyone ready for Korban Pesach? We're about to enter the first month of Adar. That means Pesach is in 10, 4, 8, 10, about 10 weeks. Pesach is coming in about 10 weeks, right? Because we're about to enter Adar. You have 4 weeks, plus another 4 weeks for a second Adar, plus 2 weeks for Pesach. All right, it's time to start cleaning that rice. Let's go. Let's go. It's time to start cleaning your home. Let's go. Amar Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef says, La kashya, it's not a problem. Even though we have a braita that tells us that Pesach is all night long, and our Mishnah didn't include it, or Rabban Gamliel didn't include it, it's because there's two opinions. Ha Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, ha Rabbi Akiva. One opinion is the opinion of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. One opinion is the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. So what we're going to see here, and I'm going to show you in the Psukim, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah holds at the end time of of Korban Pesach is midnight, proper, finished. After that, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says, you're done. No eating Korban Pesach. Whereas Rabbi Akiva says, no, you could do it until dawn if you have to. Okay, look at the screen. Everyone, please look at the screen. I'm going to read to you these psukim from Parashat Bo. And maybe we could highlight some important lines. Okay, this is in Parashat Bo. Ve'achelu et basar balayla hazeh. Eat the basar, eat the meat on this night. Oh, how do I highlight? Okay, what's your favorite color? Someone pick. Blue. Very original. Okay, on this night. Okay, you have to eat the Korban Pesach on this night. Balayla hazeh. In that night. What this? I think this is a better translation, but if you want to say that, fine. Okay. So the esh matzot, it has to be roasted. Fire and matzot al merurim together with maror yocheluhu. You have to eat it. Al tachlu mimenu na. You cannot eat from it raw. You should not eat it cooked in a pot. Ki'im to the esh, but it should be roasted on fire. Okay, this is telling you the law of the Korban Pesach. You have to do mangal. You have to roast it. You can't put the Korban Pesach in a pot of water. Okay? V'lo totir mimenu ad boker. Do not leave anything over until boker. What is boker? Morning. So you're not allowed to leave anything over until the morning. Sorry for the highlighting. I probably could do this in a better way. No, I can't. Sorry. You're stuck with this. Don't leave over anything over until the morning. This is how you eat it. Your belts should be closed. You put your belts on. You ever Thanksgiving start opening it up? You guys do that, or it's just me? Okay, me and Joey. You open up your belt when you're eating. No, for Korban Pesach you have to close it. Why? Feet, your shoes on your feet. Don't take your shoes off, kick your back, kick off your belt. No. You have to be dressed. You have to have your bags and your sticks ready to go. Eat it quickly. Chipazon means in haste. You have to eat it quickly. Eat it quickly. In haste. Pesach ul Adonai. It's the offering of the Pesach. I will pass through Egypt on this night. What is this talking about? This is talking about Makat Bechorot. I will pass through Egypt on this night. And I will hit and kill every firstborn. And I will do wonders with all of the gods of the Egyptians. I am God. Okay, do you see on the screen here? There's 4 things that I highlighted. The first thing that I highlighted is it's telling you when you have to eat the Korban Pesach. Telling you eat the Korban Pesach on this night. Does that tell you a timeline or a deadline? No? Okay, so on this night, sounds like definitely like before the daytime, before dawn, right? Fine. Question. It said Hashem says that I will strike the firstborn on this night. What time did Hashem strike the firstborn? Midnight. How do we know? Around midnight. Moshe said around midnight. What happened?
Woke up in the morning.
No, the Torah says bachatzot, at midnight. It's exactly at midnight. Moshe Rabbeinu says around, approximately. Why? Because you should always say, I'm not sure. They're going to try to catch you. But it happened at midnight. Okay, so you see, it says, Balayla hazeh, eat the matzah, eat the Korban Pesach at this night. And it also says, I will go kill the firstborns on this night. Okay, maybe there's a connection there. Maybe not. Then it says, don't leave any of it over ad boker, until the morning. Does that indicate when the deadline is of eating Korban Pesach? It's telling you can't leave anything over until the morning. So it sounds like until the morning, you can leave it over, meaning you can be eating it. Okay, the last word here is that you have to eat it with haste. Bechipazon. I'm just having fun here right now. Okay, you have to eat it in haste. Bechipazon. Why is that important? Because this word in haste is going to be the reason of the machloket as to what the deadline is. Okay? What we're going to see now is Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah is going to tell us that the deadline of Korban Pesach is midnight. Why? Because he is going to connect when it says eat it balayla hazeh. Here, now I'm going to use some other colors. Let's do the red. Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah is going to say, it says Balayla Hazeh on this night, and it says Balayla Hazeh on this night. The second one is, I know it's talking about midnight, so I'm going to say the first one is also midnight. So Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah is going to say that the Korban Pesach has to be eaten until midnight, because that's the Balayla Hazeh. Whereas, you're going to have, Rabbi Akiva is going to say, but hold on a second. It's telling you you could eat it until the morning. I'm going to focus on this. Until the morning means I have all night long until dawn. Now let's go ahead and see this flow in the Gemara to see these two opinions. And what our Gemara is telling us is that when you know there's this huge machloket between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, and you have our Mishnah that's talking about things that you say midnight, but you really mean until dawn, if you're leaving it out, you're not just forgetting it. You're leaving it out on purpose because you hold, our Mishnah holds like Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, who says until midnight, finished. Khalas, you can't do it past that. So let's go ahead and see the Gemara. Yes, question.
When full Paro midnight, it was Jewish midnight, or it was just like full?
Midnight is Jewish midnight, which is between, if you go between sunset, sunrise, right in the middle, that's what midnight is. Actually, the middle of the night, not 12.
Paro like knew that, didn't know.
They understood. They understood the idea of like sunrise, sunset, and right in the middle of that. Yes, that's what our understanding is. They understood what that meant. Okay, ready? Amar Rav Yosef, everyone with me? Rav Yosef says, Lo kashya, it's no problem, it's no question. Ha Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, ha Rabbi Akiva. There's two opinions. One is Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, one is Rabbi Akiva. Ditanya, we learned in a Braita. The first pasuk I quoted there, it says, V'achlu et basar balayla hazeh. Eat this meat, eat the meat on this night. If you look at the screen, that's the first one. V'achlu et basar balayla hazeh. Eat the meat on this night. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah Omer ne'emar kan balayla hazeh. It says in this pasuk on this night to eat the Korban Pesach. V'ne'emar lehalan, and it then says a few lines later, V'avarti be'eretz Mitzrayim balayla hazeh. I will pass through Egypt on this night and do the Makat Bechorot. Mahalalan at Chatzot. Just as the second pasuk is talking about at Chatzot time, Avkan at Chatzot. So too, you have to be done with the Korban Pesach, eating the Korban Pesach by midnight. That's the time Hashem says, eat it on this night, and I will come at this night. So just as when He says, I will come on this night, it's midnight. So too, you have to eat it by midnight. That's the opinion of Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Rabbi Akiva says to him, but doesn't the pasuk say that you have to eat it bechipazon? What does bechipazon mean? Bechipazon means in haste. And specifically, here, I'm going to circle that just to get all of these colors out there. Bechipazon, you have to eat it in haste. When did we have haste? When did we do something quickly in Egypt? Yeah. Very good. Until the time of the haste, which was in the morning. We left Egypt at dawn time. Did you know that? We left Egypt in the dawn. At dawn time is when we left. So that's when we were running. So it says you should eat it in haste. So until you're hasting out, you could continue eating it. Continue eating it until you're hasting out. That's how Rabbi Akiva wants to learn it. Ad shat chibazon. Im ken ma tamud omar balayla. So if that's the case, if you could eat it until the morning, then why does it say you should eat it until night? Here's why. You might have thought that you're allowed to start eating the Korban Pesach from the prior day, already from Erev Pesach. Talmud Omar Balayla, it's coming to tell you, when it says the Laila, Balayla Hazer, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says it's the end time. It's telling you midnight. Rabbi Akiva says, no, it's telling you the start time. You can't start eating the Korban Pesach before nightfall. Because there are other Korbanot that if you bring the korban, if you do the shechita at 3 p.m, you can already start eating from it. Now with the Korban Pesach, you have to wait until the Laila. But Laila it's eaten at night, and it can't be eaten in the day. So let's keep going. What's the Gezerah Shavah? Come look at the screen. You see the screen? You can't? I'm sorry. What if I make it bigger? Can you see now? Yeah? It says, the first line is, V'achlu et basar balayla hazeh. Eat the basar on this night. And then it says, V'avarti be'eretz Mitzrayim balayla hazeh. I will pass through and kill the firstborn on this night. Balayla hazeh, and the second one is talking about midnight. So when it says you have to eat the Korban Pesach, balayla hazeh, Gezerah Shavah. What is Gezerah Shavah? What is it? Oh, what is the term Gezerah Shavah? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were saying what is the Gezerah Shavah? What is the term Gezerah Shavah mean? Okay. Who can tell me what the term Gezerah Shavah means? No.
The same words giving context.
Very good. Same word, two different places. You connect details of one to the details of the other. you have the same words, balayla hazeh, balayla hazeh. It says the words balayla hazeh twice. One time you know it's midnight because it tells you Hashem says I'm going to come at midnight. So the other time when it says eat the Korban Pesach balayla hazeh, well, what does balayla hazeh mean? Let's see. Where else do you have these term balayla hazeh? A few lines later. Over here, I know it's talking about midnight. Apply that to the first one. That's the concept of Gezerah Shava. Gezerah Shava is same words, different places. Josh, you said juxtaposition. What is that? That's different words, same place. This is another thing. That's what we call a hekesh. Hekesh. It could be a smach also, but we call it a hekesh. Hekesh is different words in the same place when you have two things that have nothing, that seem unrelated, but they happen to be next to each other. So then you say, okay, there's a reason why they're juxtaposed. There's a reason why they're connected. So you take the law of one and apply it to the other. When you have same words in different places, you also take the laws of one and apply it to the other. So that's what we're doing here. That's what a gezerah shava is. Good? What's a gezerah shava? Same words, different places. You apply the details of one to the other. Okay? So since we know the details of one, namely, Makat Bechorot, it says Balayla Hazeh, we know that's midnight. So when you have to eat the Korban Pesach, it says Balayla Hazeh. Rabbi Elazar says that's until midnight. It has to be until midnight because that's the Gezerah Shava. Okay? Question.
Rabbi.
1 second. Yes, question?
Me?
Korban, the killing of the lamb for Pesach was done before midnight, and then they just held out until before
Very good
nightfall,
question.
and then they would eat it, or they couldn't kill it until nightfall.
So, okay, very good question. We're going to see this shortly. The Korban Pesach, the actual slaughtering of the sheep or goat, was happened before nightfall. It would happen on Erev Pesach. It would happen during the day. But you would only allow to, that's what Rabbi Akiva is saying. That's why he says balayla. It says at night. When it tells you balayla at night, it's not coming to tell you that the end time is midnight. It's coming to tell you the start time, that even though you slaughtered it while it's still day, you can't eat it until it's laila. That's what Rabbi Akiva is exactly saying. Yes. Yes, Ilan, go ahead.
Yes, so if you want to go according to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah that he does the Gzera Shava, then why doesn't he hold that you should eat it at exactly midnight? If he's doing Gzera Shava, it should be eaten at midnight, not until midnight.
Very good. So yeah, you just asked this question in the chat also. Yeah, very good. So you're Makat Bechorot happened precisely at midnight. So you're going to tell me eat the Korban Pesach precisely at midnight. The answer, I think, Ilan, is a good question. I think the answer is because that's not physically possible to eat the entire sheep in an instant. It's clearly not possible. So it's understood that when Hashem says eat it, you need time to eat it. So there's a connection to midnight, so that becomes the deadline. Not the moment that you eat the entire thing. It's not possible. Right? You need time.
No, but the whole thing is a Gzera Shava. If Hashem said that's when I'm going to start killing all the Bechorot at midnight, and he wants to use that same word on when they should start eating it, they should be basically starting to eat at Chatzot.
Right. So he's not saying that. He's saying that you end eating it.
Yeah.
Right? So you're saying why the start, not the end? That's what he picks. That's what he picks.
No, I'm just saying it doesn't sound like if you want to use that as a proof of when to start, then you do it the whole way.
No, he's not using it as a proof of when to start. He's using it as a proof of when to end. The whole discussion is when is the end time. He's saying midnight because you have at chatzot. So you're saying do you use it for the start, but he's not. He's using it for the end time. The discussion here is not for the start time. You're asking why not.
But when Hashem was talking to Moshe and he says Balayla Hazeh, he's talking about the start time. He's not talking about the end.
And the end time. Wait, for what? For what? For the Makat Bechorot?
Yeah.
It happened in an instant.
Oh, okay.
In that instant, everything happened. So it was the start and the end. It happened in one instant, the whole thing. So you're right. You could use it for the start, but he's using it for the end. He's using it for the end time. It's a good point. I saw in there's a lot of discussion about this. It's a bit confusing. So you're bringing up a very good point that is discussed amongst the commentators. Very good. Okay, let's keep going. Good. We spent a lot of time talking about Korban Pesach, guys. We're not even done. Shishod, where am I? What is this? Okay, share screen. Let's go. Bishlema Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. I understand. We just read this, but we'll do it again. According to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, the Gezerah Shava, he holds by the Gezerah Shava. Itzterech lemichtav le hazer. That's why it needs to say on this night. Because balayla hazeh, those two words are identical. So you're taking the word balayla hazeh and you're applying it to the other. According to Rabbi Akiva, why does it need to say on this night? Okay, so here's what's happening. What's happening is we're going to read the psukim according to two parallel views. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says balayla hazeh is coming to teach me the end time is midnight. Because I have a gezerah shava with balayla hazeh of the time of makat bechorot. That's midnight, so eating is midnight. That's why it says balayla hazeh. But Rabbi Akiva says, no, you have all night long. Well, if you have all night long, then why does it say balayla hazeh? Oh, you know why? Because it's telling you not the end time, but the start time. Don't start before night. But if that's the case, you could have just said, balayla. Just eat it in the night. Why does it have to say balayla hazeh? When you say balayla hazeh, it's like the gezerah shava connecting it to midnight. So why does it say hazeh? So the Gemara answers, lemeute layla acher hudeata. It's coming to exclude to eat it on the following night also. You might have thought that you could eat the Korban Pesach for 2 nights. Why would you think that? I would have thought, ho'il upesach kadashim kalim. The Korban Pesach is a type of korban that you eat. Korbanot that you eat is called kadashim kalim. There's kadashim that you fully burn, but there's some kadashim that you eat, korbanot that you eat. So it's kadashim kalim. Ushlamim kadashim kalim. There's another type of korban called the shlamim that you also eat. Now, what is your window of time to eat a korban shlamim? Anyone know? How many hours? 2 days and a night in between. 36 hours. So if shlamim is 2 days and a night, and Pesach, you're telling me starts at night, maybe it would be 2 nights and a day. It should be a 36-hour period. Just as the korban shlamim could be eaten for 36 hours, day, night, day. So then a korban pesach would be you would have the option of eating it for 2 nights, meaning a 36-hour window, which includes the second night. And it could be eaten over 2 nights with the 1 day in between. So it comes to say on this night, it could only be eaten on this night and not on the following night. So now you have the words on this night. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah uses it to connect it to Makat Bechorot to say until midnight. Rabbi Akiva says, I'm not connecting it to midnight. I'm saying you could only eat it on this night. Why this night? Because don't come and eat it tomorrow night also. But this night, tonight means the full night until dawn. So Rabbi Akiva said until dawn. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says until midnight. Okay? Okay, very good. So that's exactly, okay, very good. See, Mordechai has a question. Mordechai says, but hold on a second. Go back to the screen. Okay, which John can't see anyway, but it's okay. Let's go back to the screen. It says here, Veloto tiru mimenu ad boker. Don't leave any of it over until the morning. So John's saying, well, why on earth would I need balayla hazeh to come tell me that you can't eat it tomorrow night if it's saying you can't even leave it until the morning? Of course you can't have it tomorrow night. The pasuk says, don't leave it until the morning. Whatever is left until the morning, but you have to burn it. So obviously, if it's left over to the morning, you have to burn it. Obviously, you don't have to eat it tomorrow night. So why would it say, balayla hazeh, this night, not tomorrow night? Because you might think you come to eat it tomorrow night. Hey, I'm going to come to eat tomorrow night. I have to burn it. So that's going to be the question of the Gemara. Very good. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah disagrees with Rabbi Akiva. Milota tiru ad boker nafka. Because of the very fact that it says you can't leave any of it over until the morning, that obviously means you can't eat any of it tomorrow night. So don't tell me balayla hazeh is coming to exclude tomorrow night. The fact that you have to burn it by the morning already is coming to exclude that. Fine. So what is Rabbi Akiva going to respond? Rabbi Akiva is going to give the following response. If you wanted to just bring me that pasuk that it says don't leave it over until the morning, and if it's left over until the morning, you'll have to burn it. Ava amina my boker, I would have said, which morning? Boker sheni. The second morning. which means you could eat it at night and then you leave it until the morning, eat it the second night, and then the second morning is when I have to burn it. But Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah responds to that, Kol boker, if you say morning, boker rishonu, it's referring to the next time there's morning. It says you have to burn it in the morning. Oh yeah, it's in 15 mornings. So it doesn't say that. It says morning. Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah doesn't like that approach. So with all of that, let's just pause and take a breather and until morning, right? Okay. So now we're gonna see this, and in the name of Yisrael Kisep, we're gonna just do a little bit of halacha, not really, because we're not eating the Korban Pesach anyway. But here's what's happening. Okay. Now that you see there's this whole discussion, now I want you to go back to our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says the time of Kriyat Shema, rabbis say until Chatzot. And then Rabban Gamliel says they really mean until dawn. Okay, they really mean until dawn. But they're just, bringing you a buffer so that you don't come to sin. And he says that's not the only time this happens. It also happens with burning the korbanot. It also comes with korbanot that have to be eaten in the first day. But conveniently, he doesn't mention Korban Pesach. And why is that important? Because the discussion of the deadline of Korban Pesach is a huge machloket between Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah and Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah says until midnight, finish. Past midnight, don't eat it. You're not allowed to eat it. Whereas Rabbi Akiva says, no, you could eat it until the morning. So if our Mishnah doesn't include it as the example, okay, ready? You ready for my question? Is our Mishnah in line with Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah or in line with Rabbi Akiva? Why? Why is it Rabbi Lazar? If it would agree with Rabbi Akiva, it would be one of the examples. Why? What does Rabbi Akiva hold? Until morning. Okay? Very good. This side got it. You guys got it or no? Should I explain it again?
Knowledge has to pass through this side.
Yeah. I think we're rotating this way. It's going there. Is our Mishnah according to Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah or according to Rabbi Akiva? Well, let's see. Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah says the end time of Korban Pesach is what? Midnight. Rabbi Akiva agrees that it's ideally midnight, but Rabbi Akiva really says it's until the morning, ad boker, until dawn. So according to Rabbi Akiva, when is the real time of Korban Pesach? Morning. So if our Mishnah is going to start giving you lists of examples of things that we say until midnight, but we really mean until the morning, it should have given this example of Korban Pesach, but it didn't. Which means we don't hold like Rabbi Akiva in our Mishnah. We hold like Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah. Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah says, midnight, finished, end of story. You can't go past that. Where does Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah get this from? That it has to be midnight?
Gezerah Shava.
Very good, very good. Gezerah Shava. Okay, Mordechai, what's a Gezerah Shava?
Have the same, two different words in the same place. Same word in two different places.
Very good. Same words in two different places. I know it's confusing. It's okay. Okay, so I'm just going to keep asking you. Eventually, you're going to get it, and you're going to be a Gezerah Shava wizard. You're going to go around town and just saying, you see that parking sign over there? That's a Gezerah Shava. I can park here until 4 p.m. Yeah, okay, very good. Gezerah Shava is same words, different places. Very good. Good? And just in case you haven't had enough of Korban Pesach talk, guess what the Gemara is going to do? This machloket of Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah and Rabbi Akiva aligns perfectly with another machloket of two other Tanaim that has to do with Korban Pesach. Okay? So let's just get the Pesach. Let's just do it. And
Wait, did you mention the halacha on this or you didn't?
No, there's no halacha. The halacha is, okay, so I'll tell you where the halacha comes up. The halacha comes up in the eating of the afikoman, which is exactly correct. Our Mishnah here holds like Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah, which means the deadline is midnight. From this, there is a practice that if your Korban Pesach has to be eaten by midnight, we have a practice of eating afikoman by midnight. You guys do this? This year, incidentally, since it's a double Adar, I think it's going to be very late. Because what happens is the change of the clock, right? What time is midnight now? Okay, let's check it out. myzmanim.com. You guys know how to figure this stuff out or no? I go to myzman.com. I put on my zip. I search. You could either Kiryat Shmone. Where is that? Near Lebanon. Ooh, wow. Okay, we're not there now. Baruch Hashem. Here. This. I'm going to change the date to Pesach. Oh, wait, hold on. What time is midnight now? Midnight right now is the same as midday. It's exactly, it's like through symmetry, it has to be the same. It's 12:09. Pretty early. If I told you you have to eat your afikoman by 12:09, that's relatively early for some of us. Now, what's the date of Pesach? Someone tell me. April what? 21st? Okay, let's go with that.
So it's a Monday.
Okay. April 22nd. Apply. Do I have to pay? I have to pay. So, oy vey, I forgot my password. Look at this. Do I have an account? I don't think I do.
I got it.
Oh, you have a paid account. Oh, what's your password? What?
Different. So 12:53.
12:53. You guys heard that? Tonight is at 12:09. You're saying 12:53. I actually think I have an account, but I'm just gonna go with what you're saying. It's 12:53, and that's after daylight savings time has changed. Okay, so this year it happens to be much later. That's because of the change of the clock. Like if you were to check March 15th, think it's moving backwards, or is it sneaking up?
15th is 104.
Okay. Okay, so you see what happens is 104. That means that March 15 is after the change of the clock.
Let's change March 10.
March 10. Okay, so here's what happened. What happens is that you change the clocks. Midnight becomes an hour later, and it's just going backwards. So you get yourself to 12:53. So I guess it's possible that it could have been later if it was before. It was right after we changed the clocks. Whatever. Why are we saying this? Because Elon asked for halacha. I'm telling you the halacha. 12:53 is the latest time you're allowed to eat the afikoman on the night of Pesach. Okay? Good. So that's something that we should keep in mind when we come up to the night of Pesach Seder. And that corresponds to this halacha of the Korban Pesach has to be eaten by midnight. Yes, question.
I feel like a better counter argument for how I make was it says you can eat it. You're supposed to eat it at night, or you have until morning to burn it. So it kind of sounds like a buffer in itself already.
So the fact that it's wait. Eat it at night, but you have the morning to burn it. So it's telling you until the morning, the time of burning. So you're essentially saying the time of burning is the same time where it stops eating. Is there any time where you're not allowed to eat it, but you don't have to burn it yet? So what you're saying is no. It's like you could eat it until you have to burn it.
You could make the case you have to stop eating at 12 and then burn everything, but so you don't have to necessarily do it the same
Right. Okay, everyone hear this point that Richard's making. Okay, so here's the question. The question is, the Torah tells us that you have to burn it in the morning. So is that a proof? Is that a proof of when I could eat it until? Well, Rabbi Akiva could say, yes, you eat it until you have to burn it. Once you have to burn it, you can't eat it anymore. Whereas maybe Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah could say, no, there's a dead space. There's a dead time where you're not allowed to eat it, but you don't burn it yet. And that's between midnight and dawn.
Same way you have to kill it before nighttime, you have to kill the animal, and then you can't.
So hold on. So hold on. The slaughtering is done when?
Or night.
The daytime before night. The eating is done when?
After.
From after night until midnight, or maybe until all night long, according to Rabbi Akiva. And when is the burning happening? In the morning. Okay, so you get this. So we have 3 time zones here. You have before the nightfall, time of slaughtering. During the night, either half or full, is the time of eating. And then the burning is from the dawn. And the question is, can you eat it during that nighttime? Can you eat it for the full night or just for the first half of the night? So Richard is saying is like it makes sense that you should be able to. You should never have a dead space time where if you don't have to burn it yet, so you should be able to eat it. That's like Rabbi Akiva. That's what you're saying. Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah could say, well, no, maybe not. Maybe you have to stop eating it, but don't burn it yet.
It's like when we burn our chametz before Pesach.
Oh, so there's a time where you can't eat can't eat chametz, but you don't have to burn it yet. There's a 1 hour break. Very good. Guess what? The group right now just went through the next Gemara. You just did it. Hi. Okay, we're gonna turn the page to Daf Yud. Okay, that's it. We're making a siyum on Masechet Berachot now. You guys did it. Baruch Hashem. Let's see how you guys just went through the Gemara by yourselves. Ready? V'hani tana'eh. These tanaim, these opinions, kehani tana'eh, align perfectly with two other tanaim and another machloket. The Tanya, because we learned in a Braita, Sham tizbach et Pesach ba'arev. There in Yerushalayim, you have to slaughter the Korban Pesach in the afternoon. I'm translating ba'arev in the afternoon. Ba'arev kevo hashemesh, after sunset. Moed tzatcha mitzrayim, the time that you leave Egypt. These are three separate times. Ba'arev is in the afternoon. Kevo hashemesh means after sunset. Moed tzatcha mitzrayim, the time when you left Egypt. We left Egypt in the daytime. It's afternoon, nighttime, daytime. That's what it's three times in this one pasuk. So let's see it. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, ba'arev, in the evening, atazoveach. Sorry, not evening. In the afternoon, atazoveach. You bring the korban, you have to slaughter it. Uchvo hashemesh, when it's sunset, ataochel, you eat it. Umoed tzatcha mitzrayim, and in the morning, atasoref, you burn it. Okay? So you eat it at night, and then you burn it in the morning. Rabbi Yoshua Omer, Rabbi Yoshua says, ba'arev atazoveach. In the afternoon, you slaughter it. Kevo hashemesh, after sunset, ata ochel, you eat it. Ve'ad matay ata ochel ve'olech, and until when can you eat it? Ad moed tzatcha mitzrayim, until the dawn. So you have two opinions here. And really, from the second one, you understand what the first one says. Rabbi Yoshua says explicitly, and both of them say you slaughter in the afternoon, and both of them say you eat it at night. But what Rabbi Yoshua in this line over here says explicitly, and when can you eat it until the time of the morning? So he's saying you can eat it all night long. Who is that aligned with? Rabbi Akiva. Very good. And he's arguing with the opinion before him, Rabbi Eliezer. So if he's arguing, then what he's saying is you eat it at night and you burn it in the day. If they're disagreeing, if the two of them have a disagreement here, so then Rabbi Eliezer lines with Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah, who says you eat it at night until midnight, and then you can't do anything from midnight until the morning, and then in the morning you have to burn it. So we end up saying that these two opinions align. Let's go ahead and read this line of the Gemara. Okay, does that make sense? Good. Amar Rabbi Abba says, Akol modim, everyone agrees, Kishenig'alu Yisrael mitzrayim, when we left Egypt, or when we were given permission to leave Egypt, Lo nig'alu ela ba'arev. It happened in the evening. You guys know the song of Paro Pajamas? You know that song or no? You guys don't know the Paro Pajama song? Even Shai knows the song of the Paro Pajamas. Paro in pajamas in the middle of the night. Paro pajama ba'imsa alayla. And then there's a Yiddish one also. I don't know the, sorry. Paro pajama nisfa shab, something like that. There's this thing about how Paro comes in the middle of the night in his pajamas and he tells Moshe Rabbeinu, go, get out of here. I want you to go. So that's like, it's based on the Psukim that Paro comes to Moshe and Aaron in the middle of the night and tells him to go. So when is it that Paro told us to go? In the middle of the night. So that's what the Gemara is telling us. It's a famous song. You guys don't know this? Okay, you guys come over. Shai will sing it for you. It says, Lo nigalu ala ba'arev. We were freed from Egypt in the nighttime. Hashem brought you out of Egypt in the nighttime. But when did we actually exit? Lo yatsu ela bayom. We left in the morning. The day after we brought the Korban Pesach, yatsu b'nei Yisrael b'yad ramah. The Bnei Yisrael went out in the daytime in an outstretched arm. So, so everyone agrees that we left when it was daytime, and everyone agrees that at nighttime the Egyptians told us you're allowed to go. And when was that? That happened at midnight. Alman nechleku. So what is it that Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah are arguing about? Al sha'at chipazon. They're arguing about which chipazon, which haste are we copying when we have to eat the Korban Pesach with haste? Look for a second back on my screen here. Do you remember where it says you should eat the Korban Pesach with haste? Right? You should eat the Korban Pesach, you should have your belt tied, shoes on, sticks and bags ready, and you should eat it with chipazon. So chipazon, there's two chipazons. There was one chipazon when the Egyptians came and told us, get out of here, go, 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 you're free. That happened at midnight. Or it's a time that we actually left, which happened in day. So if you go, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says the midnight chipazon, that's the chipazon, the haste that the Egyptians were telling us to get out. Whereas Rabbi Akiva says the haste of that we actually did leave. Now we're going to see that written in the Gemara. These two opinions are arguing al shat chipazon. The haste. Which haste? Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah savar. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah holds my chipazon the Mitzrayim. The haste of the Egyptians, meaning in the haste of the Egyptians at midnight, as they hurried to the houses of the people of Israel to send them away. They said, everyone get out. Rabbi Akiva savar my chipazon. Rabbi Akiva there, however, he says chipazon, the haste chipazon de Israel, when we actually left Egypt. Okay? And now we're going to see it one more thing in a braita. We learned a similar braita that says as follows: Hashem took you out of Egypt in the night. Did we actually leave in the night? Didn't we leave in the day? As the another pasuk says, the Bnei Israel left in the daytime. The beginning of the redemption happened at the night, whereas we ended up leaving in the day. So what? So you see the two steps here. Now you have like a whole shiur that you could put together here. We have Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah and Rabbi Akiva arguing about when's the latest time to eat the Korban Pesach. One says midnight, one says dawn. Each one has his own pasuk. One Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says balayla hazeh, connects it to the Makat Bechorot. Whereas Rabbi Akiva says no, you connect it until the morning. And then they each have to understand why you have the other pasuk. But then there's another discussion that at midnight the Egyptians told us to leave, and then in the morning is when we actually left. And when the Egyptians were forcing us out, that was a chipazon, the haste. The Egyptians were telling us yalad, but then there was a time that we actually yalad was in the morning time. So you have to eat the Korban Pesach at haste. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says the time that the Egyptians hasted us out, and Rabbi Akiva says the time that we actually left. So there's like this huge alignment. This is why when you know that there's a whole big discussion, if it's not included in the examples of our Mishnah, you're telling us, hey, we don't hold like that, meaning it holds like Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Okay, we still have one more thing, but yes, go ahead, question.
Why had this discussion about Rabbi Elazar talking about this when we already has why do we need to argue about this thing it has to be at midnight if he already has a proof for midnight?
I was going to even say, how could it even be a chatzot if that it actually happened at chatzot, and then afterwards, after it happened, the Egyptians must have realized what happened, and then they pushed him to go into haste. Like it had to be after midnight where they had to.
Okay. So two questions. Andrew, your question is: once you have the Gezerah Shavah, then you could just put your weapons down, right? Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says midnight. Why? I have a Gezerah Shavah. The Makat Bechorot happened by Layla Hazeh at midnight. Eat the Korban Pesach by Layla Hazeh at midnight. That's it. The thing is, there's another pasuk that says the chipazon. You should eat it at the time of chipazon. At midnight, we didn't leave yet. The Torah says that we left Egypt bechipazon. That happened in the morning. So if you're correct, you have to explain to me what does it mean that you're eating it bechipazon. There's no chipazon. You're still sitting here for another 6 hours. There's no haste. So that's why he's explaining, even though we didn't leave in haste, the Egyptians began to kick us out. So that's the beginning of the haste. So that's how he explains it. The driving factor is the Gezerah Shavah, but he needs to explain what it means by chipazon. He needs to explain what it's referring to.
So you're saying it's proof for the same exact thing he already proved?
It's not really a proof, it's a defense. He proved until midnight. Okay, but it says you have to do it at a time of haste. That goes against what you're saying. No, this is the time that the Egyptians hasted us. I don't know if hasted is a word. Is it?
The Egyptians ran in haste to tell us.
The Egyptians ran in haste to tell us to go. Now, to John's point, it didn't happen exactly at midnight. The idea is that at midnight, the firstborns died. And then, because of the destruction, they ran and they told the Jews, get out of here. So it didn't happen precisely at midnight. It happened maybe 5 minutes after midnight, 10 minutes after midnight. But the haste began because of something that occurred at midnight. the haste of the Egyptians began. They ran in haste because of something that happened at midnight. So they came to us and they said, "Get out of here." So you're right that they probably told us to leave a few minutes after midnight, but it began because of what had happened, what had occurred at midnight. Okay, okay. Enough about
Yeah.
Korban Pesach? No.
Bro, I
Okay.
have a question on the arguments.
We're going to talk about money. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about money. But so you're standing between us and money. Go ahead, David.
Okay. Isn't the case of Gezerah Shava 1 degree further than the text itself? So the argument is making is off of a comparison to another pasuk, but Rabbi Akiva is taking from the text itself. Isn't that a stronger argument?
Very good question. So the strength of a Gezerah Shava, you're asking, if you have a Gezerah Shava, but you have the basic reading of the text implies something else, does the Gezerah Shava have the power to go against the basic meaning of the text, right? Is that your question?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. The answer is yes. Gezerah Shava is extremely powerful. Gezerah Shava can indeed, it has the same level of authority is the word, but the same legal ramifications from a Gezerah Shava as from explicit text. That's actually one of the things it's one of the most powerful ones. It's one of the most powerful ones, the Gezerah Shava, that it's something that we learn is based on a tradition. It's a tradition that someone has from his rabbi and from his rabbi. So yes, the answer is it's exactly correct. It's one of the Shilosha Esrei Midot Torah Nidresha Bahem. It's a way to learn, and it's a way to learn halacha from, even if it's not written explicitly. Gezerah Shava is powerful. It's a very good point that you make. Okay, good. Let's talk about making money. Let's go. Who wants to make money? 9:37. Let's go. Daber na be'oznei ha'am. I want you to speak in the ears of the people. Okay. So let me just tell you what the next psukim are. Let's read it. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I got my backup here. Okay. Look at these. Now it's time for us to leave. Look at the psukim here. Before we leave, the Torah tells us Hashem tells Moshe, Daber na be'oznei ha'am. Please tell the people. V'ish'alu ish me'et re'ehu, and people will borrow from their friend. V'isha me'et re'uta, and woman will borrow from her friends. K'le chesef u'chle zahav, silver and gold. Meaning, before you go, you should borrow from the Egyptians silver and gold. And the idea being that they're going to give it to you, and they can say, keep the change because they want us to leave. The Egyptians respected and feared the Jewish people. And Moshe was a celebrity in Egypt. In the eyes of the servants of Paro, everyone loved them. So what Hashem says is, before you go, please tell the people to borrow gold and silver. Okay? Now we're going to read a section that has to do with that. Here. Okay, here we go. Daber na be'oznei ha'am, speak in the ears of the people. Amri debei Rabbi Yanai. In the study hall of Rabbi Yanai, they said, En na ela lashon bakasha. The term na, nun aleph, means please. Can anyone give me another pasuk in the Torah that uses the word na? Selachna means please forgive. El na means God, please. Refa na la, please heal her. Talking about Miriam. Moshe was asking please to heal Miriam. The word na, nun aleph, means please. Okay? So Hashem is, yeah? Is that what you're going to say? Sorry? Yeah, exactly. The word na is please. It comes up in like anytime we're asking Hashem for something. So here, Hashem is saying, please ask the people to go borrow gold and silver. Isn't it something you need to plead for? Please ask people to make some money. Please ask some people to take some money before they go. What do you have to plead with them for? Okay? Amri debei Rabbi Yanai, ein na ela lashon bakasha. The term na means please. Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu leMoshe. Hashem told Moshe, V'vakasha minach. I'm asking please of you. Lech ve'emor lahem le'Yisrael. That you should go tell them, V'vakasha mikem. That you please ask them. Sha'alu Mitzrayim k'le chesef u'chle zahav. Ask from the Egyptians gold and silver. Shelo yomar, so that oto sadik, so that righteous person, Avraham Avinu shouldn't say, we're now turning the page to 9B of Ter Amud Bet, so that Avraham Avinu shouldn't say, Va'avadum ve'inu otam kiyem bahem. When Hashem told Avraham Avinu that his children will get the land of Israel, he says, but before that, your children will be slaves to another nation. And afterwards, they're going to leave that land with wealth and riches. So Hashem is telling Moshe, please ask the Jewish people that before they go, they should take money with them. They should ask the Egyptians for money. So that Avraham Avinu shouldn't say, you fulfill the line, the promise that they will be slaves. But the line that you said they're going to leave a wealthy, you didn't fulfill. So Hashem's saying, guys, before you leave Egypt, don't rush out. I have a promise that I made to Abraham that you guys are going to be slaves, but you're going to get rich. So do me a favor, make sure before you go, ask for money so that this way Abraham can come to me and say, you only kept half a part of the deal, but I need them to have money also. So now the question is, well, why do you need to plead with them to ask for money? Is this something that you need to plead with them for? No, please go ask them. Please go get some money. Is that something you really need to plead for? Okay, so Amrullah, this is the response that they gave to Moshe Rabbeinu. Ulvai shenetze be'atzmenu. If only we get to leave with our own bodies, that's enough. They're not thinking about money right now. They're thinking about survival. They're thinking about getting out of there. They think they're going to get killed by the Egyptians. Mashal, there's a parable. A person is in jail. And people told him, tomorrow you're going to get freed from jail. And as you go, they're going to give you a lot of money. And he says, if I have the choice, I don't want to wait until tomorrow. Just let me out. Do you want to leave now, or do you want to stay a little bit more and then tomorrow I'll give you money? It's like, look, if I have the opportunity to get out, I want to get out. So here the Egyptians at midnight want to go, and it's like, no, you need to, the Egyptians say get out, and the Jewish people say, okay, let's go. No, let's wait until morning time. Go the next couple hours, go ask them for some things, borrow some gold, borrow gold and silver. They're telling us to go, let's go. No, please, don't rush out. It's like, almost like it was against their will that they were asking to borrow gold and silver. Vayash ilum, and they did lend it to them. Amar Rabbi Yameh. Rabbi Yameh says, Melamed shehishilum bal korcham. This teaches us that this was against the will of the Jewish people. The Jewish people did not want to request the gold and silver, but they did it because Moshe told them you have to do it. Now, you could say that it was against the will of the Jewish people. Ika de'amri bal korcham de Mitzrayim, vika de'amri bal korcham de Israel. Some say it was against the will of the Egyptians. Some say it was against the will of the Jews. Well, obviously, you would understand why it's against the will of the Egyptians, because they're giving their money away. And the understanding that it could be against the will of the Jewish people is because they didn't want to go collect money now. Imagine you have the opportunity to leave, and you say, hold on, before you go from this Gehinnom, before you leave, go start asking for some money. Shalom Nida. Imagine someone, Shalom Nida. You could think about current events. Imagine someone is a hostage somewhere and they're given an opportunity to go, and they say, or before you go, you could go collect some things. Like, collect what? I want to get out of here this second. No, you could take some gold. What gold? Just get me out of here. I'm not thinking about gold. This is what the Jewish people were experiencing. So that's why Hashem was saying, no. Please go ahead and collect it. Man de amar bal korcham Mitzrayim. Another, so the Gemara says, why would this be against the will of the Egyptians? It would be against the will of the Egyptians because they're giving away all of their money, which makes sense. Another reason why it would be against the will of the Jewish people, mishum masoy, because it's also a heavy load to carry. It's something that's very heavy to carry. We have anyone here who was born in Iran? You were born in Iran? No, you were born here. So Kimian, you were born in Iran, I imagine. Yes, you were born in Iran. Can I ask you what your experience of escaping Iran was? Did you go during the Inqilab?
No, I didn't escape. They came from Israel, from the Sukhnut. They said I could go, and it's going to happen. Something is going to happen. Get the kids out.
Oh, so you left early.
Left and we went to
When did you leave?
In 1978.
Oh.
Before the
So you left in 1978. If you
15 years old.
15 years old, wow. Yeah, the 15-year-olds are the stuff that they're doing here, and they're not switching countries. Okay, but but if someone waited until 1979, let's say April 1979, May, June 1979, how would they leave?
The first few months they would allow other airlines, not allow, so I don't know if allow when to stop.
Pan Am or something like that.
Something else.
Yeah,
So
something
they
to get out of there. But the point is that they weren't able. I don't think they were able to pack up all their bags and go.
And they couldn't sell the houses.
They couldn't sell the houses. That means they took one suitcase, two suitcases, and they left. They left everything at home. This is also the idea of what we're saying here. When the Jewish people were leaving, they weren't looking to take all of the gold and silver because it's something they have to carry through the desert. It's not something they were looking to do. So that's another reason why it would be against their will. I think we should. I know I'm just looking at the clock. I think we should do one more line so we could just wrap up this concept. Okay, it's just one more line. It says the Egyptians, it says the Jewish people, when they took the gold and silver from the Egyptians, they emptied Egypt. They emptied it. Now this word, it sounds like a net. So we're just going to translate it. What is a net? Like a trapping. What do you call it? If someone is hunting. Someone is hunting, they put out a net. And then on the net, what do? They put some food, and then some birds come to eat the food, and then you close the net. It's a trap. Anyone do any hunting? Me neither. I've never done hunting, but this is how this is how the art school says they do it. You take a net. You've done it. You've done some hunting.
No, I've seen practice.
You've seen. Okay, so you put out a net. You put some food on the net. The birds come. Close the trap. Or you have fish. You put under the water. You put a net like a hook. It's called bait, right? You have bait. You put fishing bait on a net. The bigger fish come to eat it. Then you close the net and then you take them all. So it says Vayinatzalu Mitzrayim. It says how they emptied Egypt, but it's using the word of a natzalu. It sounds like the word of a net. Amar Rabbi Yameh melamed she'asauha kimitzuda she'en badagan. They made Egypt like a net that has no grain on it, meaning there's no bait. There was nothing left. Or similarly, like a trap of water, like a trap of water that doesn't have any bait, any fish. Basically saying how it was completely empty, that there wasn't even bait left. There wasn't even those small fish left. They took everything. The Jewish people, when they left, they took everything there. And then the Egyptians ended up dying afterwards. So it's something that we took on loan as we borrowed, but once the owners died, we kept, is what we're saying here. It's very interesting why it says borrowed. But the idea is that we when we were leaving Egypt, we didn't leave for good. The request to leave Egypt was for 3 days, right? When we said we want to leave, we said we want to leave Egypt for 3 days. And then we had gotten lost in the desert. And the Egyptians came after us, and the Egyptians ended up dying. So we were to keep our end of the deal. We weren't supposed to go. We said we want permission to leave for 3 days. We went out for 3 days. Then the Egyptians came after us, and then they died. So what are you going to go? They're dead. You don't have to keep your word to someone who's dead. And so that's the similar concept. How really they were the ones that when they came after us and they pursued us, they lost all of the money that they would have been owed because we borrowed it from them. And even our end of the deal was for us to go back, but we didn't have to once they all died in Kriyat Yam Suf. Okay, so just to do a quick recap, Korban Pesach has to be eaten until midnight. Machloket, if that's like a soft deadline or a hard deadline. Who says it's a soft deadline? Rabbi Akiva. Who says it's a hard deadline? Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. And what mitzvah do we have corresponding to this nowadays?
Afikoman.
The afikoman has to be eaten by midnight. And once we're speaking about this and we're speaking about leaving Egypt, we said the Egyptians told us to leave at midnight, but we actually left in the morning. What were we doing during those 6 hours? We were collecting and asking for gold and silver. And it says that it's not something that we wanted to do. Number one, because we wanted it out right away. And number two, we knew we would have to carry it. But Hashem asked us to do it, so we did it anyway. And we collected all of the riches so that when we left Egypt, we ended up leaving as a wealthy nation, as Hashem promised to Abraham Avinu. Okay? As Hashem will pick up next week and go to health.